Hello and welcome back to the Key Arsenal podcast. It is episode 78 today. I'm your host Matthew Key and I'm delighted to be joined by two lovely co-hosts this evening. We've got Dad and Carl. How are we both doing?
All good, mate. All good.
All good. All good, thank you.
Well, we've had 14 games in the Premier League this season, and now we've got a break until Christmas, well, Boxing Day. In terms of the Arsenal front, the World Cup is on. I'm sure we'll all be watching it. Not quite as invested as we have been in Arsenal. It's slightly harder to get into this time than normal, but yeah. We're going to talk a bit about the weekend and a bit about the season as a whole. Now we've got this nice, not quite halfway through the season, but nice break. It's a good chance to do a sort of mid-season review. But just going to start with this question for both of you, which is that if I told you at the start of the season we'd be spending Christmas Day on top of the Premier League, how would you have felt and how mental would you think I was?
Well, I think your dad just disappeared.
But, yeah, go on, Carl. You start. He'll come back.
It was never in doubt, was it? Who would have thought? I mean, Liverpool tick, Tottenham tick. Okay, Man United little cross, Chelsea tick, Chelsea big tick actually, and everyone else pretty much a big tick. Bar Southampton, and you just think, wow, would never. If you'd have said, I'll give you 30 points at this time of the season, gone, yeah, okay, that'll do. Lovely, great. We're in the mix for the top four. And we're 7 points ahead of that. 7 points ahead of that. That's incredible. That's incredible. I mean, the experts, the pundits, they didn't even have us in the top four. Let's be honest. I think I saw one or two in the top that had us in the top four, and I think that was Keown and Wright as well. So, yeah, and some of the teams I had in the top four were interesting, but it's interesting. It's a fascinating season because you look at that top four, there's three teams actually that maybe some didn't suspect would be there. Certainly not Newcastle, and some might have said Tottenham as well. They would have had Chelsea, Man United, Man City and Liverpool as their top four. A lot of people did. Chelsea seemed to have really had a downer, which is great. Long may that continue. It's just been brilliant to watch. But it's been sort of, everyone's totally, all the fans go to the ground, they're totally engrossed. They're part of the solution rather than what was maybe part of the problem 6 years ago. They're part of the solution. It's so positive. The younger fan base that we've got in the stadium now, which I think there is a younger fan base, has definitely lifted the place. It's great. Brilliant. There you go.
Yeah, Dad, I don't know if you can hear me. You're in fact so shocked by the fact we're now to top of the league at Christmas. You actually managed to click off the recording. I don't know if you can hear me, but yeah, for you, how does it feel knowing that Christmas Day you're gonna sit there and you're gonna come back after World Cup break, and Arsenal are gonna be top?
I have to say, I didn't see us being top. I thought we might scrape into the top four, but I thought that would be somewhere between 4 and 5. I'm with Carl. I genuinely look at it and I go, I wasn't convinced us, Tottenham, and that's not an anti-Tottenham comment, would be in it. Certainly didn't think Newcastle would stretch to being in there. So there's, as Carl said, three teams you probably didn't expect to see in the top four. I certainly expected Liverpool and Chelsea, but I should have learnt by now with Chelsea, you never know what what's round the corner with him. But I certainly expected those two to be in that top four. And then it was which one of probably Arsenal, Tottenham, Manchester United would be the other one. So, yeah, it's good. It's good. We just have to hope that the World Cup doesn't send us the wrong way and that everyone comes back fit and not too hammered by the experience. I don't mean in the drinking sense. I mean in the...
Certainly not. I've seen the prices.
No. But, yeah, I mean, that's the only bit that worries you, that you've been going along well. What happens to your momentum? We got three friendlies before they start again.
Is it Milan, Lyon, and
Milan, Lyon?
Yeah, we're playing Milan and Lyon. Liverpool also in it, but we're not playing against them. It's just sort of a Emirates Cup type thing where you play 2 games in 2 days. And yeah, ironically, and you get points for winning, and then whatever the result is, they're doing a penalty shootout afterwards as well for an extra point.
I thought there was a gap between the matches though, and then there's one on the Thursday, one on the Monday, or something like that.
It could be.
Yeah,
I just know
that it's not just over a weekend. No, there's two games with a gap in between.
I just knew the sort of format of it. But yeah, we've got that. Let's talk about the weekend then, because obviously it was one where we knew we could be, and again doesn't mean much, but it's nice to have been top all this time, and it would have been really annoying actually if having spent all that time at the top, the last week we just fallen behind into second place. But yeah, with one game to go, we'll talk about our game first. It's that it looked really horrible going to a place which is difficult to go, as we've said a few times. Evening kickoff as well makes it that bit harder. They bought a new manager to get the crowd going before the game. He'd met all the players, so even though he hadn't trained them, they were all up for it, going out to try and impress him. The weather was horrible, which always worry about with Arsenal, but just another sign of how good we've become, Colin, that after a really dodgy first half where not much happened and it looked like it was going to be really awkward, it was just one you thought, if you can, nick it 1-0, move on and have your break. But it was just the second half performance which just showed how good we've become, both in terms of quality and in terms of managing a game.
Yeah, it was interesting. I actually missed the first 25 minutes or so. I was on my way back, and I got in. I missed the penalty shout and stuff like that. But yeah, it was a pretty ropey last 20 minutes. And if the first 25 was anything like that, then God help you. I thought Saka, I kept thinking he's not controllable. I actually said to someone who was in the room, probably with a wife, I went, he looks like he's ill or something. And I think he was one of the ones that maybe was suffering, because he was dreadful. And there was 3 or 4 players that were dreadful. I didn't know about Xhaka at that point. Obviously, it was a couple of minutes later I realised he weren't on the pitch and done a bit of checking. But yeah, it was a decent second half performance actually. They just bumped it up a little bit, didn't we? Bumped up the energy and the speed, and the ball was travelling at pace again. Apart from Odegaard, no one really stood out. The nice ball from Vieira for the goal. Yeah, but apart from him, no one really stood out. But no one, actually, Gabriel played well again. The defensive Gabriel, he played well again, just as a point, because he got a little bit of stick earlier on the season, undeserved as well. But I thought he had a good game. But yeah, we didn't look like we was ever going to concede, did we? Really, it was just one of them games. We looked like we could have got out of second gear if we wanted to in that second half. First half, we didn't even get out of first gear.
Yeah, and Dad, it was, I'd say, it was a game that needed a moment of magic, and as Carl said, Saka wasn't playing very well. Martinelli was pretty ineffective. Jesus was all right, but obviously he's lacking that bit of that cutting edge in front of the goal. So it was Captain Fantastic that stepped up not once but twice.
Oh yes, he's been quite quiet in recent weeks, but yeah, he got on the end. In fairness, Carl's mentioned it, that the first goal, I'll take my hat off to Vieira because I haven't been his greatest fan in recent weeks. But that was a decent ball. That I think some of it is
Dreadful first touch, good second.
Yeah, he needs. I'm going to say he looks a bloke with lacking a little bit of confidence. He looks like a bloke. He probably needs a run of games, which sounds stupid, but he does, because he'd stunk the place out a few days before in the home game against Brighton. He was poor. He probably, I'm hoping the next few weeks he'll in effect have a bit of a pre-season, so he might come back looking a bit fitter and a bit stronger and a bit sharper because he didn't get a pre-season. But yeah, there were two or three they looked off the pace, and you knew Xhaka was ill because he'd gone off ill, and then later on it comes out there was 4 or 5 of them ill, which if you put it in context, especially the first half, shows it was a good display. And to go back to not that long ago, 3 or 4, especially your Saka and Martinelli off the boil, we'd have lost.
I thought Martinelli played well in the second half, to be fair. Yeah. He did. He stepped up a bit.
Very good. Started both the goals actually. Is a sort of run from one side to the other, the first one, and then bit of a dodgy touch, but won it back. Did really well to find Zinchenko.
Great the way he won that back. Actually, that was poor from the defender. It was great from him.
Yeah, and then the other side of it, Carl. Even Saliba probably didn't have as good a night as he has had.
But top the pace.
And again, you don't know if he was one of the ones that was ill.
Immediately, I thought him, obviously Xhaka, but him, Saka, and Partey were the ones who just looked a little bit off the pace. So I don't know if they were, but they just didn't have their greatest games.
But we managed to win, and you're quite right. I mean, other than Podence flicking a ball up and doing some sort of bicycle kick that I didn't know he'd got in his locker, and somebody smashing one over the bar. I can't remember who it was because they didn't really look like scoring. The only problem was when you've only scored one, you're always in danger of.
Yep.
But certainly once we'd got the second one, we controlled the game really well. So you look at it, you go, not a nice away game. Certainly, I'm sure the people from Sky weren't looking forward to us. A little bit of an upset with us losing, not much, but you look at it and you go, that's a really good 3 points. And I know we got 3 points there last year, but that looked a better 3 points this year than last year's 3 points. So, yeah, quite happy with that.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. Got to give Ramsdale a shout out because he didn't have much to do, so decided to spend his evening winding the Wolves fans up as much as possible.
It was funny.
Was incredibly entertaining. I thought Zinchenko was someone else that had a really good game. Had a terrible moment at the end actually when he gave the ball away, but other than that, very very solid. And that playing as left back coming into midfield really helped because I think Partey defensively was decent, but terms of starting moves going forward wasn't up to his usual standard. So Zinchenko really stood up there, I thought. Jesus, another good game, as I said earlier, lacking that cutting edge in front of goal, but pretty good game. And as you said, Dad, Odegaard, absolutely superb.
Well, yeah, he especially
He's
second
actually
half.
he's our top scorer in the league as well, which
Yeah.
he's sort of gone under the radar. But
Surprised
yeah,
by that I was.
and Garth Crooks even likes him. So don't know if you read that one, but he said he liked Garth as a fan because he doesn't over celebrate, and he brings class to an Arsenal team which otherwise lacks it apparently. So
yeah, he's a
it's
knob.
nice.
Such a knob. Garth Brooks is sorry, but he's such a knob. I like him because he's so harmless, but he's such a knob. You know, it's like, oh God, he's gone again. He's going again. It's not like Richard Keys, you know, which is like vindictive and nasty. Garth Crooks is just like a bit passionate, but he's a knob. Like, you know, yeah, dear. Good old Garth. Oh dear.
And so that was the Wolves game. And what I've failed to mention is that earlier in the day we got a nice little present from us in the form of Brentford and Ivan Toney, who has had one of the strangest weeks ever for a footballer. But certainly from an Arsenal point of view, we'll take it because that loss again was nothing where you weren't sure how we were going to react to it from City. You weren't sure if we'd get a bit complacent and having already known we were going to be top and lose focus, drop some points. But we did eventually manage to take full advantage and we find ourselves 5 points clear. So what I'm going to have to do is it's midway through the season. Well, this mid-season break, I'm going to have to ask the question, and we've no idea how this World Cup's going to affect people because Kane could get injured, and we all know that would ruin Tottenham's chances. The same way Saka got injured, that would ruin our chances. And so also Haaland going wherever Man City are going could get a freak injury on the training ground and get injured. We've no idea, but I'm going to have to ask, do you think we can win it?
No.
Why not?
Because they have a bigger squad and they have better players and they play a very similar style to us.
Yeah.
I'm not being pessimistic. I am absolutely gobsmacked how well we're doing and how wonderful it is. And we are their nearest challengers at the moment. I don't know if that will last. I hope it does. I still would fancy Man City, but I ain't going to stop celebrating. It's great. I love it being top, but yeah, I mean, you know, some of the teams will struggle to catch us now. I'm not going to mention names just in case one of them does, because I'm pretty sure Liverpool are going to go on a mental run at some point. I'm glad we played them once, because I think they'll go on an absolutely mental run. And anyone who hasn't played them yet, and I'm not sure if any of the top four haven't played them yet, maybe Newcastle haven't played them yet. I honestly don't know. Someone is going to.
Yeah, Liverpool, the only team that beat Newcastle this season. They got a dodgy goal in the last minute, in 98th minute or something it was.
Oh yeah. Sorry, yeah. So I expect them to go on a big run at some point, because you know they're not a top 10 side, are they? They're a top 4 side. They're a top 2 side, really. So they will go on a run. But yeah, I just think the squad that we've got, we're very reliant on too few players. If one of them misses out, okay, we might be able to find. If Nketiah comes into a Jesus, you know, it's downwards, but it's not off the curve. But if Saka goes, whoever replaces him is a big downward step. Martinelli goes, hopefully Smith Rowe's available, And same with Odegaard, you've got Smith Rowe, and you've got a few others, so that's quite decent. But in midfield again, you've got Partey and Xhaka, and it's, although El Neni coming back does help the situation, there is a huge gap between them two and the rest. Central defence, we're okay, I think, with the three. There's a big difference when you drop down to Rob, not in terms of defensive quality, but in terms of quality on the ball and various other, attributes. And at fullbacks, I think we're pretty much well covered. Don't know about goalkeeper. Don't know enough about the other fella yet. So yeah, so it's midfield that worries me most, and Saka. But how do you cover a player like Saka who's that good? You can't. You're just relying on it. It's like asking City to cover for Kevin De Bruyne. He is that good that even any of their players is a downward step from him.
Yep, can't disagree. I'm with Carl, Matthew.
I think we're really competitive for second. I know it sounds ridiculous. We're 5 points top. I just don't really want to think about that.
That's a good analogy, Cole, because if you honestly look at it, Matthew, you've played 14 games.
Yeah.
You'll get to Christmas, by which you'll have normally played 19 or 20, and we'll still have 24 games or whatever to play, as against 20.
We'll have 21 games to play. 22 games to play at Christmas, won't it? Is it?
Yeah.
No, 15, 23 games to play at Christmas. After West Ham, sorry.
And then
which is ridiculous.
Yeah, and then you throw in whatever's gone on with the World Cup or whatever happens. You throw in, you've still got the Europa League, and at some point the teams become better teams.
Yep.
You've got the FA Cup. Okay. I've always got a soft spot for the FA Cup personally, but so you add a bit of that in, you add the Europa League in, you add whatever else in. That's a lot of games. I'm with Carl. I don't think the squad's that deep. I haven't thought that for a long time. I look at City.
Their B team would come in the top 4.
And yeah, the B team's probably a good analogy. You look at Diaz, top quality centre half. Laporte, they got Stones, they've got Akanji, they've got Cancelo, they've got Kyle Walker coming back from being injured. They've got top goalkeeper. I can't think who the reserve goalkeeper is, by the way. It doesn't really matter. You get to them midfield.
Some German bloke who I've seen in the Champions League not do anything ever because they just have the ball all the time.
Yeah. You've got De Bruyne, you've got Haaland, you've got Grealish, you've got Foden, you've got Bernardo Silva.
Although, yeah, it's a lot of guys.
Can I ask with I completely agree. Saka, Partey, irreplaceable. Xhaka, whoever. If Haaland or De Bruyne got injured, they're irreplaceable, aren't they?
Yeah, but there's. Oh, all right, okay. So if De Bruyne goes, the team strength around can pick up the slack, the slack, I should say.
Yeah.
With the player that comes in, who is going to be top notch. Yeah, who's going to come in for Saka? Reece Nelson at the moment seems to be in pole position. Not a bad player. I'm not having to go at Reece Nelson, but he's got a lot to prove to be at the next level, which is basically pushing to start, because he ain't pushing to start. He's made big strides this year that I thought was probably beyond him, but he's still. Congratulations, you've earned your place on the bench on a regular basis. That's where he is at the moment. Whereas City's bench, you look at the City's bench, and any other team, they'd be in a starting lineup. Yeah. So that's the difference. So
Yeah.
although it is a big, if Haaland or De Bruyne got injured, it's a bigger step down. Even between Eddie, even down to Eddie from Jesus at the moment, Eddie's still got a point to prove because he's guaranteed a bench. He needs to push himself to be
You
Gabriel's rival, considering it that Jesus hasn't scored. Pretty much, he should be pushing him.
You look at City, and is it Alvarez or whatever his name is? They bring off their bench. Is it Alvarez, Matthew? I can't remember.
Yeah, the Argentinian bloke up top. Yeah.
Yeah, the Argentinian bloke has gone to the World Cup, probably. And yeah, you just generally look through. I think their squad is unbelievably good.
Yeah.
They've also got we know how to win it because we've won it, whatever it is, 4 times out of 5. And they've won it with the team that in Liverpool, who in most, I'm going to say normal times, certainly previous times, would have won the league probably 4 times out of 5. So, when you're getting 90 odd points and coming second, that's a good side. Yeah, I mean, if you'd have offered me top 4 before the season starts, I'd have snapped your hand off. Yeah, you've now got to sit there and go, we're in a good place. Can we come second? That would be really good. And then if you look at where we've come from, because if you're honest, you were 8th the year we won the FA Cup. We were 8th, didn't qualify for Europe. We've come 5th. If you finish second, whichever way you look at it, you say that's improvement.
Yeah.
And then you take the joys of whatever the Champions League brings you. You take a bit of that money and you take you can qualify for the Champions League, whether I agree with it or not, because I think the players should want to play for you no matter what competition you're in, but it clearly does attract better players. There must be a lot of young players across Europe, good players, thinking, I could go to Arsenal, they're all young, they're getting better. Would you say that for all the other teams? Come January, Chelsea will spend some more money. They're not going to be happy with the $250 million they spent in the summer. They will go and spend more money.
They will.
This is merely Kevin's opinion, but I suspect Newcastle, if the right players are around, won't be shy of spending money on a player. They've got the money. Again, City, they don't really tend to buy anybody in January unless they see somebody they really want. And they actually have the luxury of they can buy somebody and not take them straight away. They can do a deal with a team and say, we'll give you whatever millions now, but you can keep him till the end of the season.
To be fair, Newcastle, they haven't really splashed the cash that much in the summer, did they?
No. They spent 100 and something million last January, Carl, didn't they?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, because they were in trouble. They were down the bottom, I think. But
yeah.
Yeah.
And he's used the market well.
Yep.
He got Nick Pope for nothing.
Yeah, he got some squad players who were still filling the squad. They were first teamers perhaps last year. He's done a fantastic job actually.
Yeah. And they're actually playing decent football.
Yep. Which is different from last year when they played us, because they were absolutely appalling down at our place, just negative.
Well, and just wanted to kick people.
Yeah, well, they probably had Robert Jones as ref, so that's probably why. Can do what they want with him.
So, would I take finishing second at the moment? Yeah, I would.
Well, see, that's the thing. This is the difference. Where I think, and my heart says they're going to finish. Sorry, my head says they're going to finish. Obviously, there's a bit of my heart begging that we're gonna do this and all that, but I just cannot let it rule me, because one, I don't want to get that bloody depressed when we don't do it, and two, I actually don't think we will do it. Realistically, I don't think we will do it. The element of hope is we're 5 points clear. We've got 14 games gone. We haven't had we have had a little rough patch, but nothing major. City just had theirs. Had it last Saturday for 97 minutes or whatever it was, against a bloke we didn't want to score an asterisk because he didn't have a bet on it. But yeah, oh sorry. But that was really good. And seeing Josh Da Silva involved as well, who I've got a soft spot for, ex-Arsenal, had a lot of bad injuries. Good man, played well. Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how our City come back from that.
I was just going to ask, actually, because firstly, whenever City beat someone, you're always looking out for who they're playing next week, because they're always going to then spank them 7-0 or whatever.
Yeah.
But all these years, they've sort of been, especially the last, well, Liverpool have been there, but they normally just get 98 points or whatever and just have it all their own way. So how are they going to respond to being 5 points behind, do you think?
I don't know, and this is just makes it really interesting, right? Because we're in effect, we're having a winter break. Yeah, okay, there's players going to the World Cup. They're not playing that often, or none of ours are. Apart from there's maybe 3 or 4 stars, but even then they're not playing a huge amount of games compared to what they have been. So it'll be training, relaxing, playing a few games. It's not going to be too much unless they get the final, of course, which maybe 1 or 2 of them will. Don't know. Right. So it's the equivalent of a winter's break and a pre-season. After a pre-season, first few games in August, sometimes you get some funny results.
Yep.
Yeah. So we might well come back and see some funny results where teams their preps ain't so good. It would have been nice to have played West Ham before the pre-season break or the mid-season break, because they've been absolute pants all season.
Yeah.
So it'd been nice to have played them, but we didn't get that opportunity. And we're playing them first time out the gates. So can we keep our momentum going more so than how will Man City be affected? If we keep our momentum going, ask me that ask me that in 10 more games time. After 24 games, Matthew, when there's 14 games left.
I was going to say, looking in January, you've Newcastle on the 2nd is a big game, but it's one where at home you'd expect us to win, because evening game at home, everyone's going to be up for it. So then there's.
And we've got Spurs and Man United.
I was going to say that I think there'll be FA Cup on the next Saturday, and then Spurs and Man United back to back. I think it's Man United then Spurs. So is that point, bear in mind as well, by then we might have bought a couple in as well. Is that sort of the bit? Because again, that'll be about the 19 game mark.
I think end of Feb or middle or end of Feb is where you're going to know if we're going to hang around we're going to be competitive. I still don't think we'll win it, but if we're going to be competitive, if we're going to put up a fight, we'll know then, because we'll have over 20 games gone, and you might have a little bit of a bad run, but you might fall 6 points behind, but you'll know that you're still in with a shout. If you're within 6 points of Man City at that point, then you're doing well this season, because they're in theory should be a level above. But we'll see. It's how far. I'm more interested in many ways, because I expect even if we carried on, if we won the next 6 games and only lost 1, say out of the next 7, I'd still expect City to be right on us.
Yeah.
I'm more interested to see, will anyone else be on us? Because there are some lovely gaps appearing between not just between us and Spurs and Newcastle, but Spurs and Newcastle and the rest. There's a big gap.
Yeah, I mean, United have got 26 points.
Yeah, what have Newcastle got? 20, 28, 29?
30.
30. So that's 4-point gap between
But
the top.
they played 15. United have played 14. Liverpool have played 14. They're on 22.
Right. Okay. So we're on level games with Liverpool.
Liverpool and United, we're on level games with City.
And Chelsea have got 21 points, haven't they?
Yeah, and they've
Yeah.
played 14.
Okay. So you've both said you expect Liverpool to go on a run. So
Yeah.
that's 15 points. Chelsea 17, 16? 16 points. Are they? Do we think we're going to finish above them? Do you think they can make that
16 points is
a lot.
Yeah.
Because I know
early doors.
That 14 games, but to be 16 points behind after 14 games,
I'd be very disappointed if they caught us now. Really disappointed. I'd be absolutely gutted. I could suffer Liverpool doing it because I'm pretty sure they're going to go on one of these ridiculous runs where they'll go sort of not only 12 games undefeated, but they'll win the lot.
Yes.
Yeah, they'll win every single one. So I'm
Chelsea have played. Chelsea have played 14, won 6, so less than half.
Yeah.
And lost 5, so over a third.
Yeah.
Their goal difference is 0. Scored 17, conceded 17.
Yeah.
We've scored almost twice the amount of goals they have, and we've got a striker up top who hasn't scored in 8 games.
Yeah, there's a few other fans, non-Arsenal fans, said after we played Chelsea, that was the biggest 1-0 thrashing they'll ever get.
Yeah.
We battered them, but we only won 1-0. Defensively, they creak. They're missing key players. And attacking wise, they're not quite there for whatever reasons. I fully expect them to go out and buy someone up front. Don't know who it is, but I fully expect them to spend stupid money in buying someone. Yeah. So, but I don't expect them. Oh well, sorry, it's not. I don't expect them. I would hope that we would not lose 16 points to them over the next 24 games. I'd be really disappointed by that. That would be an Arsenal disappointed rather than Chelsea have necessarily surprised me. But I just don't expect us to lose that to them. To Liverpool, I'll make an exception for them. Any other team with that sort of gap, we shouldn't be losing that amount of points. Not now. But who knows? Who knows? Mikel does.
I think the unknown thing is, Carl, you've never had I'm going to say a break. It's not really a break. You've never had a World Cup, in this part of a season.
Yeah.
And I'll say, you look at it and you think it sounds soppy. If Brazil win the World Cup, what happens to 2 or 3 of ours? Likewise, Liverpool have got a couple. Likewise, Man City have got a couple.
You can't tell. They're going to go on it, aren't they? They're going to have a few beers, but they've got to get back to it's not like it's a normal season. They've got to forget about it pretty sharpish. It's just the way it is.
Yeah.
You can't
I just don't know how that affects someone. And likewise, whoever loses the final.
Yeah.
If you've got, I'm saying, I'm just pegging names up. Let's just say it was Belgium. What happens to De Bruyne if they lose the final?
Well, they're never going to be favourites.
He'll be absolutely shocked they made it that far. That's what will happen.
Yeah, I would imagine the quarterfinal, semi-final will be there. If they get any further than that, they're doing really well. And that will, to be honest, his age may well start to count against him then.
And that's another thing in it, Carl, isn't it? You look at Chelsea's midfield. I think probably without Mount in there, they're quite old. Likewise, Liverpool, although Thiago isn't going to the World Cup, they're quite old.
Yeah. It'll be interesting. We just don't know, do we? It is a
No.
great unknown, because normally you have a World Cup and then players come back late for pre-season. Yeah,
Yeah.
they miss the first few games of the season. It may well be that if we have a player or players that get to a final, they may well miss the West Ham game and come back for Brighton. I honestly don't know. I'm just it could be that he may do that. I don't think he will. But
So what you're saying is the worst case scenario is a Brazil-England final.
No, because we'll only have Saka playing from England.
Yeah, but Ben White would still be there.
He'd still be there, so would Ramsdale, but they'll be
Yeah,
chilling
right, yeah.
out. They'll be warming the bench because Southgate. Southgate showed he's got a lack of faith in the two of them, and he hasn't got a lack of faith in Saka.
He hasn't got a lack of faith in Declan Rice.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah,
I think that Paqueta is in the Brazil squad as well.
he is. Yeah, you honestly don't know, Matthew. It's really hard to say.
Yeah, it's gonna have to be something we're gonna have to come back to, and even after the first, we're still not gonna know when it's finished. It's only gonna be after the first couple of games that we're gonna be able to say, because anything is just guesswork. But in terms of the title, my thoughts on it are, I think we can win it, because I've just my age, I've never had this sort of feeling about the club. I don't think we are going to win it, but I think we can, but I'm not going to be disappointed if we don't. That's the other important thing to say. No one at the end of the season, if we come second, should be disappointed or anything, because to be in the running is an achievement in itself.
Being competitive is all I ever wanted, really. You want to be competitive, and we are. But you know, we've only had 14 games. We've got 24 to go. So
Yeah.
You know, we're only pretty much a third of the way through the season.
Yep.
The back, we have this break, mid-season break, but it's still quite early on. I mean, it might be that it catch up with us last 5 games of the season as fatigue hits in. I honestly don't know. It depends what we do in Europa League, the FA Cup. FA Cup, I think we're going to blow out. I think we're going to not like, you know, but we will not play. We'll play a squad team like we did against Brighton, and Brighton we was awful against. And I think that's what's going to happen this time. We're going to play a squad team. Europa League we're going to take seriously. Maximum we can play 7 games in that.
Yeah.
So that's not so bad, actually.
And the chance as well that a lot of the, as we said a couple of weeks ago, a lot of the teams you'd want to avoid ended up playing each other, so that gets rid of half of them in effect, which so that's going to be an interesting thing. And you might get to a point at the season where you're still in the running, so you not necessarily have to sacrifice the Europa League, but you change your team more for that. Or on the other hand, you're in the semi-final of the Europa League. You've ended up 5 points behind City with 5 to go, and you end up sacrificing a league game by rotating so you can get through to a Europa League final. We'll see. We'll see. It's going to be interesting, and we're gonna.
Ironically, when you look at all the teams that towards the top, just after the World Cup, Manchester United have got the best fixtures. They've got a home game against Burnley in the Carabao Cup, home to Forest, away to Wolves, home to Bournemouth, and then home to City.
Yeah, City have got some hard games actually, because they've still got to play Tottenham, Chelsea twice, and obviously us as well. But we know that fixture hasn't been rescheduled yet.
They're hoping that's going to be the title decider at the end of the season.
Yeah, get it in May.
Yeah. Yeah, well, Spurs always beat Man City, so we know that's going to happen.
A draw for absolutely ideal. Normally, I always want Man City to win, but take a draw.
Yeah,
And
there's a
they-
lot of the season to go. We just don't know. This mid-season break, it's just
Yeah, we honestly could come back
fantastic.
after 3 games after the World Cup and we'll be level with Man City, or we could be 10 points clear. It could go either way, and you just don't
Yeah.
know.
And they got some stonking fixtures just after the World Cup. Looking, they've got
Yeah,
Liverpool in the Carabao Cup,
Good.
Leeds away at 8 o'clock on the 28th
oh,
of
horrible.
December. They then at home New Year's Eve to Everton, away to Chelsea, away to Manchester United,
There you go, 10 points clear by the
home to,
new
home
year.
to Wolves, and away to the Spuds.
Oh, that's gorgeous. That's superb.
So they're playing
We're gonna
Spurs. So Spurs are playing Man City, and then they're playing Arsenal. That must be then.
Somewhere
a bit
around,
like we've got United then Spurs. Or
Spurs,
something.
yeah.
We're gonna be
of course,
Newcastle. We're gonna be second by the time that rolls around. By the sound of it,
Could
right?
be.
That we will, as I say, we'll have to see. What I'm gonna do now is I'm gonna have an extended few questions of the day. I've got 4 in total. 3 of them Arsenal related. 1 of them isn't. The first thing I'm going to ask you both to do is nominate a player of the season so far for me.
William Saliba.
Saliba for Carl, straight away.
Oh, straight away I'm thinking, maybe I should have said Ben White.
Oh, I'm going to have to
Well,
stick with your first answer, I'm
Yeah.
afraid. Saliba.
I'm probably going to go his second choice, which was Ben White.
Good. Deserves it. He's been fantastic. And I still
It's one you can't pick a wrong answer, really, can you? Unless Cedric would probably be wrong, but other than that, it'd be fine. I was going to go for Xhaka, so just because
Xhaka,
I think Saliba has been better than Xhaka, but just the surprise element of it has just been brilliant to watch. So yeah.
The crowd should be player of the season. The crowd has been unbelievable.
Only team with 100% record at home now, by the way.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Well, there you go. That means we're going to blow against West Ham.
Second in the home table, having played 6 home games, which is less than anyone else.
Yeah.
Joint, but still. Okay. Goal of the season so far.
Probably. No, can I go first?
Yeah, go on. You go first.
Go for it.
Thomas Partey against Tottenham.
That is a surprise.
Oh dear. Well, I was going exactly the same. So I there are some other good ones. Thomas Partey's goal the other week was really good. But yeah, I'll go with that as well. Can I pick the same as Kev?
Yeah.
Because that was what I was thinking.
Yeah, I was going through my head because I always love the team goal. So I was trying to think what's the best team one been this season, and there's been the counter attack against Liverpool was really good. The goal in the first minute against Liverpool was really nice as well.
I kind of like Reece Nelson's goal as well, where he starts it from who was that against? Where he broke
Forest.
it up. Forest. I love that goal because of the fact that he's.
Yeah, in the end, I'd forgotten about one completely, and I thought it has to be that, and it's Saliba against Bournemouth. Because I just thought we're absolutely taking the piss here because we 2-0 absolutely cruising. We've been singing the bloke's name in the away end for the whole of the first half, and then 5 minutes into the second, you just bang that in from the edge of the area. Oh, it was just so good. And I thought, So yeah, we've had a few actually. Vieira as well. No one mentioned that. Against Brentford was a really nice goal.
Was it Brentford?
Yeah.
Well, I think Leicester then. Why did Leicester go through my head? I like.
Okay. Performance of the season. So team performance of the season.
Shall I go first? Yeah.
Yeah, go for it.
I've got to say Chelsea away.
Chelsea
I
away.
just thought against a team that have we won a few times there in recent years, but quite frankly we've fluked to. That was no fluke. That was the nearest you'll get to a 1-0 battering and a surrender from an half decent Chelsea team. They didn't surrender, but they knew they weren't going to win no matter what. That was a really good, really strong team performance. There was no one had an iffy game. They're all 8 out of 10s minimum.
Yep.
Yeah, I'd have to say, I agree with you, Cole, because the last couple of years we've won at Chelsea, and you have looked at it sometimes and much, I'm smiling away because we're beating Chelsea, and I'm not a great fan, but that it to me is, I'm an Arsenal fan. We've won 1-0. We've absolutely bossed a team that 2 years ago were World Club champions, were champions of Europe. Not that long ago, they've won the Premier League.
Yeah.
And we absolutely schooled them. And I listened to the radio. And when you hear somebody like Jason Cundy, who, whether you like him or not, he is a Chelsea fan. He works for Chelsea. But when he comes away and the next day he goes, they are the real deal. We got bossed. We got taught a lesson. We were lucky it's only one. You think that's quite I'm going to say a compliment on us. I don't think I've actually seen a better Arsenal performance away from home against a really good side, because they are a good side for years and years and years, Carl. I can't think of one. When your goalkeeper could probably put a deck chair out and smoke a cigar with what he's had to do all afternoon. Yeah.
So you go in that one as well, Dad? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm be honest. Given your dislike on them, I'm shocked you've not mentioned Liverpool at home. I thought that might be the one you'd go for.
We might have gone for Tottenham.
Tottenham, obviously, is always, but we always beat them at home, and they're normally always really rubbish as well. And that was
and
the
we're
case.
always rubbish at their ground. That's the interesting one for me in January.
It's just what 3 points. Again, one that I don't think was the best, but really sticks out in my mind was the Fulham one, when me and you went, Dad, and we played really well. They'd scored with their only attack from a mistake. We turned it around. None of the goals really that good or whatever. We got the job done. I just remember leaving the ground that day and thinking, yeah, we are really good.
Yeah, I think it's the cliche, isn't it, Carl? You've not actually played that well. And we didn't play badly. We've gone 1-0 down and we've managed to win with a real late goal.
That was something as well we were horrendous at last year. We won once from a losing position last year against Wolves.
And that, I mean, as a display, it wasn't our best display. I can think of 5, 6 much better displays. As a
spirit and character sort of way.
Character, yeah, fantastic.
Yeah, Liverpool, as I say, the way to play that well, then be pegged back a couple of times, and then play even better, and like we did in the second half was really good. And Brentford as well, which we talked about a lot of the time, the sort of voodoo and the narrative that was trying to be created from what had happened the year before. To play like that, and every time I watch Brentford, I'm more impressed by it.
Yeah, you got a point there. Brentford wasn't, because they're a better team than
they're such a good team, and especially at home. Yeah, and me and Dad said at the weekend, Man City obviously dominated the game. Brentford had the better chances by miles, the sort of the whole way through. And I wasn't really surprised when they nicked it. It was obviously really nice, but wasn't that all that surprising. If you'd watched the game, you could see it coming. Yeah, that was a really good one, and just really comfortable. We even brought the 15-year-old on, and
Yep.
that was great. But again, no, so many to choose from. It's really difficult. Okay, so last one, and not Arsenal related. Who's your World Cup winner?
Your turn, Kev.
Argentina.
A Papua New Guinea in it.
No, I don't think so.
I have no idea, if I'm being honest. I will go very boringly for Brazil.
Brazil.
I really have no idea.
Yeah.
The only thing I'd say is that who won it? Who won it when it was in South Africa?
Spain.
All right, okay. I'll shut up then. I was going to say the only team that's
You
won
gonna
outside
say-
their continent is Brazil, but Spain won it outside their continent. But Brazil have won it in Europe. They've won it in Asia.
Yeah.
They've won it in South America, obviously, and they're the only team that have won it in 3 continents. And I just think they can play in any conditions. Their style suits any conditions, and it will absolutely suit the conditions they're going to get in Qatar. So I would go for that based on that. I don't know enough about international football to really be really give you a definitive answer. I look at France, I always think they've got a great team, but I think they've got an awful manager. So it does the same with us as well. I think we've got an unbelievable team. The individuals are, but I think we've got a manager that sucks. I think we might have missed out now. We should have won the previous one. But hey, there you go. You never know. If Harry Kane stays fit and he decides to have some bottle and play a few forward players. If he played Foden and Saka behind Harry Kane with someone central, don't know who, behind Harry Kane, then we might have a chance. He's got good. I like Declan Rice. I like Jude Bellingham.
Yep.
I think we've got some really good defenders. I think we've got some absolute defenders who stink, who he's taken. Yeah, I think we got a chance, but he'd have to make some brave decisions, and he ain't going to make them brave decisions because he's taken them already. He's taken them players who stink, who have stunk for a while, just aren't just international quality. He's taken them there, and so he's going to play them. And but that's up to him, innit? He'll be on his neck when he gets probably gets the sack. But I'm still cheering England. I will cheer on Harry Kane if he scores as well. I won't if he dives. If he keeps on diving, because I find it quite boring.
Cheer especially loud if he pulls up in the 90th minute of the final when we're already winning as well.
If he can score a hat-trick in the final
scenario.
And then just a wrecked hamstring in the last minute would be hilarious. He can still collect the cup. He can still win the cup. Still say, "Oh, I scored a hat-trick. Yeah, I've scored 17 goals in the World Cup finals." Who would have thought? I'm out for the season.
Yeah, that'd be ideal. Yeah, Brazil and Argentina are the two that I can't make my mind up between, but I think one of them will win it.
Any Europeans that you fancy?
As I said earlier, Belgium, no, because I think they'll be really impressive in the group stage. Everyone will get a bit excited because they've scored lots of goals, and then they'll play someone decent, and their defence will get exposed. I don't rate Spain at all because I've no idea who's going to score a goal for them. I don't really rate Germany, but then again, it's Germany, so it wouldn't surprise me if they just. It's a bit like Australia and then the cricket. It wouldn't surprise me if they just rocked up to the final.
Yeah, out of all of them, France is the one that I think has got a little bit more about them.
They won the last one, so they're due a kick-off with each other and stuff like that. So, yeah, France would be the European team, and I think for us, we'll be absolutely fine in the group stage. It's just as soon as we play anyone decent.
Yeah.
I don't worry about us at all playing against teams we should be beating. It's just when it gets to a team similar quality to us when we need a change or something to win a game. I don't think the manager's got that in him. Which shame, because he seems like a nice bloke and he's obviously a very good
Suit.
getting morale and stuff like that, but just tactically not that good.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think Brazil and Argentina could be on course to play each other in the semi-finals. So that in effect is
We
going
got
to be
the
the
other
winner of
side.
that. Yeah,
Oh, that's a bonus.
yeah. We could play France in the quarter-final, which I think will be our undoing.
We've got the United States, haven't we, in the group stages?
A very fit side.
What, United States?
Apparently, they play all their MLS boys, though they don't play the ones that play in Europe. So,
Well,
I think I've overestimated them slightly in me predictors and stuff like that. I'll tell you what, my ones to watch out are Uruguay. I think they're always very solid at the back, and I think with Suarez and Nunes up top, that will cause problems.
or as my child said when he was about 4 years old and was reading all the names out in the World Cup, he called them "You Are Gay," which I thought was really, really funny. Who's "You Are Gay"? Uruguay, top man. Yeah.
Yes.
Always a bit physical though, Uruguay. Just a tad physical.
Yeah.
And I worry about the front line of Suarez and Cavani. I don't know how much legs they've really got left.
Well, Nunes though, they've got Nunes.
They have got Nunes. Yeah.
We'll see.
We will, yeah. It'll be interesting. I'm sure it'll be enjoyable.
Yeah. Yeah.
Maybe the group stage might be a bit of a
Get
slog,
it on
but
with
when you
and get it over with as quick as possible so we can get back to proper football. Well, when I say proper football, I'm talking about Premiership because I'm still going to Cockfosters every week in the meantime.
There you go, Matthew. There's the answer to your football.
There is. If you're not got, and there's instead of watching Qatar Ecuador on the Sunday.
Yeah, the TFL's top London club, as in it's the furthest North Station, I think. Well, it's actually not. There's some in Watford in there, but on the Piccadilly line, it is in real London as opposed to ish. Yeah.
But yeah, that is it for us this week. That's it from us until it won't be Boxing Day, but until those fixtures Arsenal wise.
Yep.
But yeah, thank you both for joining me throughout the course of the season, and to Madeline as well. All been very enjoyable, most of them, and yeah, long may it continue. But yeah, analysis and input always very much appreciated.
You're welcome.
Yeah, so thank you for joining me. Thank you all for listening, and we'll be back next time. But until then, it's
Happy
goodbye.
Christmas. Happy Christmas.
And happy Christmas.